So today we have with us Khushboo Vaidya, and let's deep dive into her conversation and know more about her journey. So let's flash back in time and let's go back to the beginning, probably after engineering. You chose to do your master's from Canada at that point of time, probably 2013,
2012.
2012.
2012.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
So what made you choose a master's program in Canada and specifically in like University of Waterloo?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's very interesting. So while I was doing my undergrad, I did my undergrad in EC from Ahmedabad, and all my friends were preparing for GRE. So I was like, okay, I'll also prepare for GRE. All right, we'll see. If I want to go abroad or not. So I gave my GRE, I gave my TOEFL exams, and then I researched into the US universities, and I was like, oh, this is way too expensive. I don't want my parents to spend that much money for me. And uh, actually, so that was a thought process when I was, thinking about all of these different things. Um, and I think at one moment I also started exploring about Canada as well, and I started looking into these universities. And there was this talk by Stephen Hawking in University of Waterloo. So he used to do it like twice every year. So I was like, this is fascinating. What university is this? And I just explored, and I saw they have different core programs, and even the founder of Blackberry, he graduated from University of Waterloo as well. And I think during that time, BlackBerry was like a trend, right? Everybody used to use BBM and was in that phase. So it's like, this is cool. I want to study in this university and I want to work in BlackBerry. And so I think also during that time, I was also teaching in SVNIT Surat, as I was teaching the subject digital signal processing. So I from the beginning, I was always into the idea of talking to students and researching about universities, schools, helping them out. And I applied for University of Waterloo, and I was like, I'm either going to this university or I'm not going to Canada. I mean, this is the reason why I want to go to Canada. If not, I'm still going to continue my job here in SVNIT, maybe do masters here, PhD here, maybe go towards the way of becoming a professor. And I just applied to one university, which, I would advise all of you out there, the viewers who are applying, do not do that. I had a backup plan that if not this, then that. But it's always advisable to apply to at least 4 to 5 universities, as you guys must already know it. So I think that was the reason I actually chose University of Waterloo. And I came to Canada in December 2012 because my
Oh my
term
God.
was going to start in January 2013. I came in the winter intake. And I think the day I landed was 24th of December, which is like Christmas Eve. And like there was no one in the city. And I was like, okay, where am I? Coming from like a city in Gujarat where you see so many people around, even on holidays, especially on holidays. I was like, okay, where am I? So I think that's how it all started. I came here, and that's how I also selected my university. That this is good. I want to go here, and I'm just lucky I got into University of Waterloo and got a chance to come here. So if I talk about like the master's degree, initially I thought that because you are from a certain background in bachelor's, you are only supposed to do your master's in that particular background. So that was the reason why I chose electrical and computer, because I thought that's the only way out. But I think after coming here, I got to know so many students who are applied to systems engineering, to management science, to they were so interesting fields. And I think that was the first time I actually got the exposure to how diverse fields people offer in Canada. And if I talk about my particular program, that is electrical and computer engineering, the first thing that caught my eye was we were given the liberty to choose the subjects. I was like, wow, like this is going to be fun, because you have each term you are given few subjects, like not few actually, like there are 10 to 15 subjects, and you select the subjects whichever you want to choose, customize your master's program that way. So I think I really like that approach. The second interesting thing that I came across was during one of the exams, those semiconductor courses where you have so many equations that we had to remember during our exams. I think the best part here was the professor said you're allowed to prepare a cheat sheet, like, one-page cheat sheet. And I was like, that's so cool. So I don't have to like spend time remembering the formulas. And the exam was based on where will you use these formulas. And that was so interesting. That was the part where my perception to learning actually changed. Um, Especially coming from, how we study just based on theoretical aspects and like just to like get done with exams. Here it was more of a very practical approach and like applied engineering, I would say. And I also had one course where there was one question paper and the whole class was supposed to submit one answer sheet. So there were like 5 to 6 questions. So professor left it onto us how we want to give that one answer paper among a group of like 20 to 25 students. So I think that taught us how to delegate questions to like groups, like how to form groups, who will study what, and even in that particular group, one student will research on that question, one student will be responsible for writing that. And I think that overall process of just being in that group and being in that environment of whole class working together, like just submitting one answer paper, was, I think, very fascinating. So I would say I really loved my experience as a student for masters in University of Waterloo.
Wow, that is pretty cool insight, especially the last part. Like generally, every organization works in a manner where probably a team of 20, 30 are delivering one project and
Exactly.
everybody takes like parts of it. And finally, you have the end product out there. So kind of
Correct.
like I would say a demo of that was something you could implement while in school.
Definitely, definitely. And not only just studies, but like the overall aspect of having people from so many countries working together. Like in one group, you get to know so many different approaches to how they solve problems, how they look at different, things to solve. And especially there were like, we had this UWIC, which was University of Waterloo Indian Connection. And I was a part of it as well. And I'm also a choreographer, so I used to choreograph dances for each term that we perform. So even like I had like a very well-rounded exposure and experience while I was doing masters.
How was your time at Blackberry? How long did you work there?
I actually so including my internship, I worked there for 13 months, and then the layoff season started.
How was the 13 months?
They were amazing, amazing. And that was my actual first experience, like, in a corporate environment. So it was also new to me. And actually, the funny part is, how we address our seniors with sir in India. So here, it was so difficult for me to call them by their name because I used to call them sir, and they said, no, you're not supposed to call us sir, just call us by our name. So I think that was a very difficult part for me. It took me some time, but then I got there because they were like also senior to me, and that was difficult. But I think overall, I got to know how a corporate company works and the different departments they have, basically getting to know the bigger picture of how a company operates and being a small part and a contributor to the whole company, what that delivers. And even except my work experience, there used to be these different events happening. Like there used to be this UI/UX department while I was an intern, and they used to do these studies, design studies. So I always participated in those things because it gave me more exposure to my testing experience as well. And I really got to network with the person who was in charge of that. We had conversations, and I think I took initiative. So I feel that is why I had that experience. If you don't take initiatives on your own and you just keep doing as you are told, then maybe you might not get that overall experience.
And after that, I think, like you said, there was like a layoff season that started, and then you moved on to your next job, that is at Brock Solutions.
Correct, correct. There was a time when they laid off 600 people altogether at the same time. And so because I was in Waterloo during that time, and and the funny part was I only had like 1 year experience, and the other people who were getting laid off were having like so many years of experience working in Blackberry. And then it was very difficult to find a job because everybody who was getting laid off, they had their houses and everything, like mortgages and everything in the area of Kitchener-Waterloo, and they didn't want to leave it. So they preferred to stay there. So all of those jobs were so scarce. So I had to give some time to actually look for jobs or look for other jobs outside of software testing. But I would say a really good part of Canada was if you get laid off, then you get money from the government, even if you are not a permanent resident. So I was on a work permit and I used to get half of my salary every month, just because I'm in Canada and because I was laid off without any fault of mine. So I think that was really cool. I didn't expect it, and it really gives you a boost, right? Because especially when you're in a country and you want to earn because of the education and everything that you did there, it's a very tough time. So I think that was really supportive.
And then what was your role in Brock Solutions?
Coming to Brock Solutions, initially when I started, it was the role of a software testing specialist. So I continued the same role that I used to do in Blackberry for 6 months. I think then there came a time when I was like, okay, what's next? Because my initial goal was to come to Canada to study in Waterloo and work in Blackberry. So that goal was done. So it was time for me to think about my next goal. And to be very honest, the initial goals were actually based on what people around me were doing while I was a bachelor student. Everybody is going for masters abroad. I can also go for masters abroad. And this is a good company. Okay, I also want to work in a good company. So I felt like those were very, I wouldn't say it is wrong, but I wasn't that conscious enough to create my goals in a very conscious way, which at that age maybe nobody does. But I think when I got this opportunity to work in Brock Solutions after 6 months, there was this internal posting of software sales proposal developer. And fortunately, I had a chance to, even before I knew about this opportunity, I had a chance to interact with one of the managers in that department when I joined the company, and we had a really good interaction. Just because we were together on a trip to the airport. So the company made baggage tracking solutions for the airport. So they took us to the airport to see the behind the scenes, how it works and everything. And then when this job came up, I asked the HR, I'm interested and I want to interview. And she connected me to that same person who I had a really good rapport with. So I think that really worked out because she already knew me. She knew my thoughts and all. And she took my interview. Then I had another interview and I got the position, which I was so grateful for because I had only given the company 6 months and they gave me an opportunity to make that transition to another role just within 6 months. And that too for management position. And I think in my team, I was the youngest. It was a team of 25 and I was the youngest in that team. And I think my manager and we were the only two women in the whole of that group. But I would say my manager, her name was Janet, and she played a really good role. She played a role of a mentor along with being a manager, and I think that really helped me and see different perspectives, especially how to write. Because my role, it consisted of writing proposals for airports and airlines. And basically, also, along with creating proposals, we used to create budgets for them. So I used to also work with the developers. I used to work with the project managers. So it was a really good experience for me to see the whole picture of how a company operates, rather than sitting on my desk and just doing the testing of that one application. Now I could see a bigger picture of how sales operate, how project managers work. And so I think that was really good exposure, and I think my writing really improved from that role.
Wow, awesome. And what made the whole shift from Brook Solutions to now the boarding pass for success?
That's also very interesting. Actually, like I said, I was exploring new things. So I worked as a software sales proposal developer for 1.5 years. And then I was once sitting on my desk and was thinking, is this something that I want to do for the rest of my life? And the answer was not sure. it was leaning towards no, like there's something more I want to do. And I feel it's so important to ask that question early, because if the answer is yes, if the answer is yes, that means you're actually really excited for what you're doing. But if the answer is no, you really need to think and reflect on what next trajectory you want your life to go into. And if it is done early, it's even better for you. So I think that was the time, and I didn't know. I knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what. What is that next thing that I wanted to do? So I think I took time to explore. I gave myself time to just explore. I started writing journals, and from writing journals, I started writing short stories, just for fun. So I just followed what instinctively came to me, and I just followed it. Like, I did not see it. Okay, where will I apply this? No. If I felt like doing it, I just did it, irrespective of. I also tried some photography and things like that, just to widen my perspective. So I tried different things. I used to write a lot, ask myself questions, and I think that happened because I was alone. If I was in India, I might not have been able to do that. Because I was alone here, it gave me time to have these discussions with myself. And I think I was always fascinated with teaching and learning, and especially interacting with students. I was also helping students, who wanted to come to Canada and US, help them write SOPs and recommendation letters and all those things. So that was always there. But I think the trigger point was I was having this conversation with my colleagues, and who were Indians, and we were talking about this education system, how it is in India and how it is over here. And we were all complaining, like, why is education like this in India? And why can't they also do this, what we experienced over here? So I think that was a moment where I realized, okay, we keep having these discussions, but then I asked myself, what am I doing about it? If I'm complaining, am I doing something about it? And that's where it started. That's where I knew that this is the cause that I want to work towards. And I felt a very different kind of energy when I realized that. It gave me like a boost. And even like next day when I went to work, my manager was like, so you look really happy today. And I think it was being reflected on my face, and what I wanted to do. I started imagining how I would talk to students, like have a center where I can consult students and all. I still did not have like a definite plan, but I saw myself doing that, and that really excited me to work towards that. And then eventually initially what I did was I started Boarding Pass for Success website, and I started putting up my short stories and whatever I learned from my experience. I just started putting it out there, that since this has helped me, maybe it could help people who are also going through the same path. Maybe it can help them. And then I think one day I was sitting in a park, and I just decided to create a video because it was so beautiful, and I took out time to go there to the park. And I don't know if you guys have experienced it before, but it's very weird when you see yourself in the video, or if you listen yourself talk. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but
I can't imagine.
Exactly. It's very weird. It's very weird. So
We have struggled our edits for like the first few rounds. Like, oh my God, who's gonna listen to your voice again and then edit it as well?
Yes, exactly. And I was passing through a very similar phase. But that time I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put this video out there on social media, and people can judge my voice, people can judge what I'm saying. I don't care. I'm just going to put it out there because I wanted to get rid of that, because that feeling had been there with me since a long time. And I just wanted that to be out there. So I think that was the first time I actually spoke something, and then people really liked it. So I was like, all those assumptions were just in my head. It's not like that in reality. And I think that was, then I started making more videos. I started posting them. And then I thought I want to improve my speaking skills. So I joined this platform called Toastmasters International. And to all the listeners, it's a really good platform. They have Toastmasters is there in almost every city of the world. So if you want to join such a platform, I would always recommend to join that. And the best part was the Toastmaster platform that I joined was really over, like it was started many years ago. So there were like people who had been a part of that for 15 to 20 years. And they were all awesome speakers. I think just hearing them gave me a lot of insight into what the audience wants. And I think it was my first time that I had to give my icebreaker speech on frequencies of my life. And I think that was the first time that I spoke without any inhibitions. I just went there, just did what I wanted to. I just wanted to be true to myself and my story. And I realized that time that audience connects with you more when you are true to yourself, when you're bringing out that true story instead of, because I used to take part in a lot of elocution and debate competitions back in college, and they were all prepared. I used to like not never prepared. I was always prepared, and I was good at remembering things, so it gave me a boost in college. But this was the first time when I was like, no. I mean, of course, I prepared keywords, but it was not like a rehearsed speech. So I think that's the time when I realized, and I put that video out there, and it was so much appreciated. And you will realize often in your life that when you look back, like the dots connect themselves. I started going to Toastmaster because I wanted to improve speaking. There was no definite plan for what I wanted to do. I started making videos. I started, writing short stories. So I think those things really helped during my first talk, because first I was speaking, I was presenting, and I also had to write, and have a structured way of speaking. So I think those things all came together during my first talk. And then when I put that out on social media, one of the professors from another college approached me to speak to their college. And I think it just went on. And today we have given seminars and webinars to 25 schools in Gujarat, Mumbai, and Chennai recently, just last week. And we have spoken to over 4,000 students. So it was never, a definite plan. I was just exploring, doing what I liked. And I feel opportunities come along. It's the intention with which you project your vision. You learn skills along the way. But all of those things helped me to achieve my vision for doing something or taking an initiative for the education system or for the students of India. So yeah, I think that was a long journey and also a long talk. But yeah, that was, in a nutshell, yeah, this is how it happened.
Yeah, that was very beautifully put, and it's a very inspiring story. Everything you were able to give all these talks and talk to all these students because you forced yourself or had enough courage to put that first video out there, right? So
Exactly.
like people who are doubting themselves, it is so easy these days to just create something and put it out there. You never know what happens.
So like fast forward into, yes, now you have your sessions where you do more in terms of speaking engagements, and then you have your podcast STEM career counseling, and that's where you kind of talk to a lot of amazing people from different fields. So I mean, if we wanted to like get like a nutshell understanding of some probably top 5 learnings out of all your conversations that have happened with such amazing people so far, like if you had to sum them up, what would they be?
Actually, before I talk about that, I will mention one thing, that this was started because usually I've seen students, they ask about the career paths to their parents or to their friends or to the relatives, neighbors. So they would give you insights, but that would be very limited, just based on what they have heard. I felt if you want to make a decision, and that too for your life, it is better to get answers from the people who are into that field, who are actually experiencing that. They are the people to give you the right, the practical, like the reality of the job market requirements and if you would like it or not, how is the work life. So I think that was the intention with which this was started, because even if there is one career coach, he or she might not have all the knowledge of all backgrounds, so they are not at a level to actually say you should do that. So I wanted to connect people from different backgrounds directly to students. So that was the way this was started with. And I think if the coming back to your question, based on all of these conversations that I've had a chance to speak with so many engineers and researchers out there from India, US, and Canada, I felt the common and important things that I have learned and which students should also know about is, first, these people were also clueless when they were in undergrad. So it's okay if you don't know where your life is leading. It's okay. It's never a fixed time when I should have a passion by the age of 20. That's not true. I have seen a speaker, like, he found his passion at the age of 27. Initially, he did his bachelor's in ECE, then he went to do his master's in construction management, then he came to India to do business for 2 years, then he found his passion in design, and he came for his second master's to do his master's in human computer interaction. So there is never a fixed time to find what your passion is. And the next thing what I would maybe say is, so whatever you do in college will really help you out along the line, and maybe you won't get that time again in future because you are busy with your life, your work, and maybe family, or getting married and things like that. So you will never get that time in college. You are free, use that time to the best. Like, if you want to be an explorer, be an explorer. If you want to have a startup, like, take risks, go out there, take risks, do what you want. The third thing that I can share is, when industry asks students while interviewing, like, you don't have experience, this vicious cycle of no experience, no job, and students are like, where will we get this experience if we have just graduated? So I feel what uh, employers are trying, or interviewers are trying to ask by that question is, whatever you have learned during your college life, where have you implemented that? That is an experience. Have you done any particular project based on that? Have you maybe thought about it more and maybe written a blog on it? Did you create like a website of your own where you can post your thoughts? These are the things the company is asking for. Even they know that you won't get work experience because you have just graduated. So I think try to understand this part, because interviewers, they would really see that sparking you when you're talking about what you did during college. And usually the fourth thing is, usually students are in their own frame of mind, and they never think how, or how the interviewer or company, what are they expecting from you. So you really have to become like, get in the mind of an interviewer, what answers are they expecting from you, and then frame your answers that way. Because if you just go and talk about a project which they have not asked, then I think they would understand that maybe they didn't understand the question right, or maybe you're not getting it right. So try to understand what they're getting out from you, what they want from you. So maybe getting out of your bubble and thinking like an interviewer. So I think these are the important things that I have learned. And I always ask this question, what if you got a chance to go back in time and give an advice to your younger self? All those answers that I've got from people are so amazing that if students could just listen to them, they would feel like, okay, what am I doing then right now? I should also do this. Because you don't want any repents, right, when you go ahead in future. So just use the college time to the best of your ability. And yeah, I think these are the things that I felt if students know from now onwards, it will really create a good impact for their career decision making.
Yeah, those were some really good points, especially the first one where, like, even me when I was in college, I used to think everyone has figured out what they want to do, and like everyone knows, and I'm the only one who's clueless, like imposter syndrome. But
Yes.
everyone is still figuring out. Even the president of United States is figuring it out. So, like, it's
Yes.
fine. Take your time.
Oh, coming to like your experience between being in the US and being in being in Canada, like, for a lot of students who are still like figuring out whether they should pick US, they should pick Canada, we have got a lot of insights like, okay, people who don't like that kind of weather for so long would ideally choose something like US or something like a West Coast. But like, what are your thoughts and what do you think is the primary difference between the two countries?
Well, the first thing, the people in Canada are so courteous. They are so courteous. Like even when I'm traveling from Canada to States, I would know I'm in States now because how people talk and they're so nice. I mean, people say that they keep saying thank you and please. That is true. They do that. They are so courteous and. Uh, I personally tell students to choose Canada. There might be a bias, but my husband, he did his master's and then took a transfer to PhD in United States. So we have been discussing different aspects to what students should choose as well. So from that perspective, what I can say is, if you are looking for just an experience and have like a bit of work experience after studying and want to go back to India, choose US. But if you're looking for long-term settlement, like have a stability, like you just want to settle abroad, then I would say go for Canada or maybe any other country like in New Zealand or Australia as well. I can speak about Canada for now, but that is the main thing that I advise. So whenever a student asks me, this is my first question: do you want to settle here or do you just want to have this experience and go back to India? So I would say Canada and US. They have a similar sort of education curriculum based on it's not just theoretical, but how you can apply what you learn for practical applications. So that way it is similar. Second, I would say there are not as many universities in Canada as there are in United States. United States has like so many universities. If you like make a list, I'm sure it would be about 200. I'm sure. I might be wrong, but in Canada you won't have that many universities. So, I mean, if you want to apply there, you should have a good profile, especially if you want to apply to universities in Canada. What they see is rarely your GRE score. What they would see is how was your bachelor's grade. How were those grades, and did you write any papers, or what was your research? What projects did you do? They would be more inclined towards that. And if you also have a work experience, even a little bit of work experience, that also adds to your profile. So I would say that is one difference. In US, they look at the GRE score. In Canada, they look more on your curriculum. And IELTS exam is there, of course, IELTS or TOEFL. Other thing is for settlement, I think Canada has good visa options because you can apply for PR directly after having 1 year work experience. And it's not a lottery system, it's a point system, unlike H1B. So if you also study in Canada, you will get more points as well. So I think there is a guarantee that if you're going there, you will get a PR if you're studying there. I have seen that sometimes people who study in colleges might have a different view. So I think their rules are a bit different. So I always advise students to opt for universities and not colleges. That's one thing to keep in mind if you're applying for Canada. And they have really good co-op options. So you can do internships, take a break for a year, even a year. They have the liberty here to take a break for a year. And even I think in United States, you have that liberty. But then you're not paranoid. What if I do not finish my education and what if I don't get visa? You are free to travel outside. Like even when I got laid off, I traveled back to India. So I didn't have to worry if I'll be able to come back to Canada, whether they will take me or not. In fact, they were paying me half of my salary because I was laid off. So I feel the government really takes care of the people there, and the health is free. If once you become a PR. So I think all those things, when you go ahead in life, these things really help you out. So I would say yes, research and other opportunities are there in United States, but if you're not looking for like stable mental peace, then go for Canada. And maybe after taking citizenship, you can always apply for companies in United States because there is TN visa, which you can get if a company in United States hire you. So I think that option is always out there if you want to have that experience. So yeah, no offense to United States, but again, if you're coming for PhD, then I would say go for US, because the PhD people, it's easier for them to get a green card, and all those processes good, and they are funded, so they don't really have to care about the loans that they have taken from home. So I would say for masters, maybe Canada, and if you're doing PhD, Canada, and you like, then I would say US. You can give it more credibility for that.
And for if people have more questions, can they reach out to you? Is that some service that you offer?
Definitely. So basically, we also have abroad studies collaborators with Boarding Pass for Success, and they help all the students. Actually, they do research-based like consulting. They don't just tell you, okay, apply to this university. They would ask you questions, see what you want, what your profile is, and actually research the universities that are out there for you and what is the right course for you. So yes, please feel free to reach out to us, and we can connect you to our collaborators as well.
So we'll move on to our next segment. It's called Top 3. And here we'll get like some fun recommendations from your end.
Okay.
The first one starts with, what are the top 3 book recommendations that you have? And which is one of the most gifted books by you?
Actually, so the thing is, I have never gifted books to anyone, but I have been fortunate enough to receive books as gifts from people. So, but I think this question actually made me question that I should actually start giving gifts as books. They are really good gifts. So I would say from my experience, the first book that I was gifted was The Alchemist. That's the first book that I read, and I would recommend that book because I don't want to give spoiler alerts, but I just want to say it helps you understand that the answers that you're looking for outside, they sometimes lie within you. So, go inside instead of going outside and ask yourself. The second book recommendation that I would give is, actually, I have it on my bookshelf. It's The Art of Thinking Clearly. It's by Rolf Dobelli. And this suggestion was given by my mom because she read this book in India and she asked me to read this book. So why I like this book is because sometimes we are so into just doing the same thing that others keep doing without actually giving it another thought, like, why are we doing this? So, it makes you think, like those common sense based questions that we rarely, think about. I really like this book based on that. So I would recommend that book because it will help you question yourself and get some clarity. And I think third book that I would recommend is I'm a big fan of Dan Brown, so I like sci-fi books. I would recommend any Dan Brown book, actually. Any. I started with The Origin. I really like that. I have then read Digital Fortress, and currently I'm reading The Deception Point. Because, and this is just recent experience. I'm reading that book, and they talk about MEMS, like, micro electromechanical systems, and how they use technology for around their story. It's really fascinating. If you're a geek, I mean, or if you're a nerd, you would really like reading that. So I would recommend those books as well.
Cool. So next, top 3 movie or TV show recommendations.
Wow, this really kept me thinking for a long time because it's so hard to come up with like top 3. It's really difficult. But if I have the liberty to answer this like in 2 ways, I would say it depends on the person asking me. If a person is like, a nerd or who likes to challenge themselves, then I would maybe recommend the show like Dark, which is a show on Netflix. I really liked it. And maybe some movies like Interstellar, if they're into it, I would recommend those movies. And if like, if there's a person who likes comedy or something, then first thing would be Big Bang Theory, Friends. And, I really watched like this show that I watched, Ye Meri Family Hai, which I really liked. I think it's on Netflix. It's a show on the show 90s summertime. And I really liked that show. It was very beautiful. So I would really recommend that. and I'm a big fan of anime. Like, as you can see, I have like if you guys follow Naruto, I have these action figures, Naruto, Sasuke, and all those characters from Naruto series. So I would say if you want to try something different, watch anime. They are so amazing, and people think they're cartoons, but they're not cartoons. They're for adults. So watch them. There's so many good animes. Like there's Naruto, of course. Then there's Full Metal Alchemist. There's Death Note. There's Steins Gate. Like, watch them. They would really give you a new perspective. So
Yeah.
I think my answer would differ based on who is asking me this question. So yeah.
Yeah, Death Note has a better story than most of the TV shows I've ever seen.
That's
Definitely.
true. That's true for sure. Yep, agree.
Moving on, so your top 3 podcast or YouTube channel recommendations.
Voting Pass for Success. that's
Yeah,
for
that's the first one, and then 2 more. Okay, let's
yes.
do boring passes. That's fine.
Yes. Okay. So second one that so I don't watch YouTube that much unless I use it for songs more. I listen to songs more. But because I am researching on the startup project for like gamification, I was actually looking into these maths visualization videos. So I came across 3 Blue 1 Brown YouTube channel, and I really like. I watched the video on how we explain Fourier transform, and it was so amazing. So I would recommend that channel. And what the heck? Now that I know you guys, I'm going to recommend you guys. And I'm actually looking forward to listening to the podcast that you have done in the past as well.
Awesome. Yeah, the math visualization channel, right? That is so beautiful, and like he's a math professor, and he has an amazing voice, and he built the whole animation system. Like the videos that he used to create animation on is not
Yeah.
done on some commercial thing. He actually built it, and it's open source. So any of those nerds who want to actually geek out, they can look at each and every line of code, and maybe even use it to create videos.
Definitely. That's a very interesting thing to know. I did not know that he did that all by himself. That's really amazing.